Hi guys, welcome back to The Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about books. So, 3 books this week. Yeah, a DNF kind of week. Normally I'd be so mad because I hate DNFing books, but this week they're library books, so I'm not upset that I didn't particularly care for them. I do that, well, first I love my local library, but this week I tried out new authors and new genres, and when I do that, I try to find them in the library first, or I was just perusing the library and these are like, oh, these look interesting and they're in genres I kind of want to explore a little bit more. So we have a suspense mystery, we have and 2 fantasies. And DNF is an interesting thing. A part of me was like, should I even make this video? But DNF is interesting. So for me, there's a difference between loving the genre the book is written in and can't stand the book, whether it's because the plot is full of holes, or my notes keep slipping. The plot is full of holes, or I'm not connecting with the characters, or it's annoying me. That's a different DNF to, like, for me at least, when I'm trying out a new genre and I'm just not vibing. For whatever reason, I don't like the writing, can't connect with the characters. Like, structurally, perfect book, but I just can't get into it. That for me is like, okay, because this is not a genre I usually read, so that, I don't know, I don't feel like it's fair to keep going. And then giving it a bad star rating, because I feel like that's more of a personal preference thing than the actual writing proficiency of the author. Does that make sense? So this week I have 2 hard DNFs, which is like, probably not going to try this author again. Kind of don't want to dip my toe into this genre for a while. And then a soft DNF, which is, because I am a mood reader, so that does add to it, you know, add to the chaos of all this. Soft DNF is like, maybe I'll pick it up again later when I'm more in the mood for it, or maybe I'll try a different book from this writer because maybe it was just that book that I'm not vibing with, because that happens too. Some of my favorite writers, like Joanna, Lisa Kleypas, some of their books are they have books that are absolute dog shit. So it happens, you know, it happens. So I think I'm going to talk about the hard DNFs first. And the first one is going to be The Crimson Road by A.G. Slatter. It is 361 pages and is published 2025. Oh boy. Okay, so this is fantasy. And again, library book. Yay, love that. Now, this is the one I read the least into, I will admit. I think it was chapter 3 when I was like, yep, done. Which is not very far, because I think, no, was it? Yeah, around 50 pages. So chapter 5, I stopped. Okay, so this one. Okay, so fantasy, if you know, like, this seems like hard fantasy or high fantasy, or, you know, maybe YA high fantasy. Fantasy, you know, it's one of my least favorite genres. I'm trying to get more into it. I'm trying to open up a little bit more, and try different authors from it. So that's one of the reasons I tried this from the library. The back seemed very interesting. It seemed very interesting. I was curious about it. Okay, so it opens up, and I'm not going to tell you a lot of spoilers because I didn't read a lot of it. So this is one of those books that I DNF'd because I didn't want to give it a low star rating, because I think this is more of a preference thing than anything else. Starts out with Violet. She has a nightmare that she murdered her father, and during the night he died, and you know, they infer that he was really sick and not a very nice guy. And I was kind of waiting for the emotions behind it. I was waiting for, because I've had a lot of loss in my life. A lot of loved ones have passed, and sometimes you didn't have the best relationship with them, and sometimes you did. But when you grieve, there's a lot going on. You know what I mean? I found Violet I couldn't connect to her. I don't know if the author was going for stoic, and maybe later on, you know, but it just felt like for me, the book didn't lend itself to feel anything for Violet. Violet, she didn't feel like anything. She felt like, oh, yep, rich girl, okay, this is kind of the 1800s, loosely based off 1800s England, okay. Dad passed away, she's not sad about it. I guess she's numb. Is this the upper crest, stiff upper lip thing, or is she just numb? And then at the funeral, bandits try to rob her, and she perfectly, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, beats them off like they were nothing without even mussing her hair. And like it's for like her dad made sure she was trained really well, and I was like, yeah, okay. That was kind of like strike two for me, because again, beautifully written. It's just I didn't connect with her at all. She came off very like wooden for me, and then her already being like a badass fighter, I was like, oh, I kind of would have liked to see like her progression. If she's already perfect, then you know, how is she gonna grow? That's kind of what I thought for myself. When I was reading, I was like, I should you know, see if my older sister read this book, or maybe she'll like to read this book, because this kind of seems more the book she likes, prefers. So, you know, I'm gonna pass that on to her, and maybe she'll like it, you know, and maybe she'll let me know if she liked it or hated it, you know. I just felt like Violet was very like classic chosen one, perfect Mary Sue, great, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't particularly care for that. I'm gonna DNF that and move on, because if I keep reading it, I am going to scream. So I put it away, I DNF'd it, and I moved on. So the second book I'm going to talk about, another hard DNF for me, The Last Room on the Left by Leah Cohen. It is 322 pages and published 2025. These are all, I believe, 2025. The Last Room on the Left. And this is murder mystery, but like more suspense murder mystery, because I read a lot of cozies and things like that. Some procedural mysteries too. Okay, so this one. The main character was Carrie, and her ex-husband, I didn't even bother to write her ex-husband's name. Her best friend, Sabine. Okay, so this was written in first person. And first person and I are not friends. We're not friends. We're barely even work colleagues. I find first person very hard for me to let myself go in the book, to get carried, be taken away in the book. And that's, again, a personal preference thing. That's why this was DNF'd as well, because these are personal preferences. These aren't because, oh, there was writing, like editing errors, spelling errors, unreadable, or plot holes, and it was driving me crazy. I hated everybody. No, this is just preference. I find when you're in the POV and it's first person, the characters come off so self-centered. Is that just me? I feel like they're so self-centered, and Carrie is already a self-centered character, and then putting it in first person made her so unlikable. And oh boy, made her just, for me, preference-wise, very unlikable. And she is an unreliable narrator, which I hate. I actively avoid those stories. That drives me nuts. Again, preference, but that drives me crazy. I hate those so much. She is a recovering alcoholic. She just gotten a divorce from her husband, or like they're separated. She is a washed up writer. And I mean, I get that in mystery books, the main character being a writer is like a classic for a reason. I get it. I mean, hey, I love Murder, She Wrote. I get it. Jessica Fletcher is amazing. I get it, you know, it's a classic trope for a reason. I think I'm getting a little tired of that trope for a little bit. I might have to take a break from that trope for a bit. I love like amateur sleuth and stuff like that, but I think this put me off of them being a writer for a little while. Her POV is almost like I had such a hard time following it. She like hallucinates. She's such a hard, like and then she's sober for like a month, I think, which great, good job. That's so difficult. Good for you. And then immediately she starts drinking when she gets to this little motel. She decides to be apply to be the caretaker of it in off season, snow everywhere, you know, she's snowed in. When she gets there, the person that's supposed to hand off the stuff isn't there. She finds a body in the snow. No cell phone reception, which I get. And in modern day horrors, you kind of, or mysteries or whatever this is supposed to be, you kind of have to put that in, right? Because cell phones make the feeling of isolation not so much, and you need that for them. I get it. The person before them had a huge party. Okay. She finds the dead body. She freaks out about it. Absolutely. There is parts when she's freaking out about it, she's still like, oh, poor me that I had to go through this. And I'm like, there's a dead person out there. Like, it's just, and I've read unlikable characters before, and I still wanted them to have a happy ending. So, you know, I still root for them. Like, it's possible, but like, ooh, Carrie. And then like she gets help, and the cops come, and the body's not there. So people think she's crazy. And then she opens up the freezer and the body's there. She flips out, and then it takes her forever to realize that the dead body is her best friend. It's not even when she sees the dead body, she realizes it's her best friend. It's when she's going through the dead woman's things, she realizes it's her best friend. And I was like, what? How in the hell? Like, you saw her in the... Getting heated. It kind of made me think, this book kind of made me think of Fear Street by R.L. Stine, which, you know, insult or compliment, you know, you decide, but that's what it made me, that's what it reminded me of the whole time. I found Carrie really annoying, and then it skips time skip to like earlier, and we're in Sabine's point of view, and I was like, I don't care. I don't want to read the point of view of the murder victim. I don't want to know who the murderer is until the ending. I just stopped there. I think it was page 67. I stopped. I was like, no, I'm not having fun. I don't care about the mystery. I don't care what happens to Carrie. Kind of want her to get murdered. Started wishing this was actually a horror book where like, maybe she's not the final girl. You know what I mean? So I was like, if I keep reading this, I'm just going to give it like a 1 star. And the 1 star is going to be because I hated everything about it. And I was like, maybe this author isn't for me. You know, maybe that's just, you know, apparently they're really liked author. Great. Awesome. And the writing, I don't know, man. It just kind of, I was like, is this a YA? Like, that's why I'm like, kind of remind me of Fear Street a little bit. It seemed a little, I'm gonna stop. That's why I DNF'd it. Not my vibe. I don't think I jive with this writer. It's just not the style I enjoy. Not the kind of mystery I enjoy, because why are we in Sabine's, the murder victim's head? We know how her story ends. Like, why? I don't want to get clues of who the bad guy is this way. You know, and then Carrie just was not, maybe I would have liked her better if it wasn't first person. That's why I come back to. That's why it's like a DNF. I didn't want to continue. Because I'm like, maybe that's why, because that really gets me. And she just seems so, no, I stopped reading it. I stopped reading because unreliable narrator, and I just can't deal with those. I can't deal with those stories. I hate them so much. So I just couldn't. Okay, so the last one, and this is the soft DNF. The Curious Inheritance of the Blake House by Joanna Davidson, Politano. 376 pages and published 2025. They're all like, you know, brand new books. Here we go. Beautiful, you know. This one I read to page 207. This is a soft DNF because I want to check out other books from this author. I think The writing was absolutely gorgeous. The author painted such a beautiful picture. Like, it was absolutely stunning writing wise, right? I think this is like YA fantasy. The young girl, Sydney, she is a clockmaker, and it's 1901. Her and her aunt kind of pretend that the uncle's still alive, so people think he's the clockmaker and the clock fixer, but it's really her and her aunt. Her mother kind of just took off after she was born, a very flighty, unreliable kind of a con woman. She gets this letter saying her great uncle left her this inheritance to this house. When she gets there, she finds two cousins who are older than her there, and they're also there, and it's like a contest. Now, the writing, gorgeous, stunning. That's why I want to try a different book, because this story itself was driving me a little crazy. It just wouldn't get to the point. It wouldn't get to the point. It took so long for her cousins, for the servants to tell her what, because there's this competition to see who inherits, right? And already we know Sydney has a compulsion to fix things. She doesn't like looking people in the eye. I got that she was neurodivergent. I got it. You know, I can't say if it was a fantastic representation, because that's not I have OCD. I don't have, I don't care staring people in the eye. I'll stare anybody in the eye. So like, you know, fine. I liked Sydney. She was an interesting contrast of like, taking everything like with face value, like not really understanding social cues, being a little odd, and still kind of naive and having our head in the clouds. I enjoyed that. I liked Sydney, but like it took so long to get to the point, right? Even the butler pirate guy, I was like, okay, cool. It kind of cut its own tension because there's like underlying things going on. We're in different people's POVs, which fine. Her cousins think she killed the great uncle. They're going to frame her for killing the great uncle. And it was like, that was like a fourth plot line. And I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of important. Maybe we should circle back, because I don't even know when the uncle died or how he died, or is he dead? Like, there is all this stuff. I was like, can we circle back? So like, it kind of cut its own tension. There's a shipwreck and she's helping these soldiers, and I was like, okay, cool, we're in it. And this is where I stopped, because this is like the third time it kind of just for me. And I was like, oh cool, okay, what's gonna happen? She's gonna have this huge fight, because the cousins were like, absolutely not, they're not coming in this house. And she's like, freak you ain't the boss of me. And then it cuts to the pirate butler. It's obviously her love interest playing the piano, and I was like, wait, what? Wait, rewind? Be kind, rewind, what? No? Okay. And like the cousins were like, yeah. And the cousins were so stupid. Like, one of them is obviously a con man, right? And I think he is the one. I don't know, because again, I stopped. There's like 130 pages left. I stopped. But like, he's obviously a con man. You know, he's probably the one framing her for the murder. The other one seemed to have a better head on his shoulders, even though he was like meaner. And I was just like, and they're both businessmen. And the one that was like better head on his shoulders, but meaner to Sydney, I was like, what are you doing? Because the contest is to being able to decipher her great uncle's inventions. And obviously Sydney and her great uncle share the compulsion of creating and the creativity to create, you know, wondrous things, right? So obviously she's going to win, right? You are a smart businessman. What are you doing? Go into business with your baby cousin. Be like, hey, you get the house and you do the inventions, but I'm like business savvy and I can make sure you get the best deal. I mean, personally, I wouldn't say yes to that plan if someone gave that to, like, presented that to me, because I am a paranoid bitch and I'll be like, no, you're gonna steal my money. But Sydney is naive. I could see her being like, yeah, sure. You know, I was like, oh. And then the fact that like the whole murder of the uncle was just like pushed to the side, and I was like, we're more than halfway through. What is happening? And the aunt that comes for a little while, and she's like completely unfazed that Sydney is like gonna be framed for the, like, she's like, oh, well, obviously you have to find who did it, taha, and leaves. And I was like, wait a minute, how are you gonna do that? You're acting like the legal system is balanced and fair. It wasn't, it's not now, and it wasn't 120 years ago. Like, what do you mean? She's a working class woman. She has no, like, oh, it got me so mad. So I was like, okay, cool. It's gonna focus on who killed the uncle. It doesn't. Okay, it's gonna focus on them framing her for the uncle's death. It doesn't. I was like, okay, it's gonna focus on her saving these people. It doesn't. I was like, okay, it's gonna focus on her, her inventions. It doesn't. It kind of more like her unraveling her great uncle's love story through letters and shit. And I was like, I don't care. By page 207, I was like, I don't care. And it's sad because the first 200 pages, I like devoured it. I put it down to go to sleep, woke up, and I was like, I don't want to go back into this book. I don't want to pick it up. I don't want to read it anymore. I'm done. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to DNF it. Because if I keep going, even though it's beautiful prose, like this author's so talented, I'm like, I'll probably give it like a friggin' 1 star right now. Like, it's not, I don't even care how it ends. And I was like, well, that's not good. Especially for a book that's trying to weave like 3 mysteries. It's not good when you're like, I don't care. So, I mean, and the romance between the butler pirate and her started off sweet. And I hope that continues. It seemed very sweet. But like, jeez Louise, I did not give a shit. And I was like, you kind of have to focus on something. The book was gorgeously written. That's why I'm like, maybe this story isn't for me. So I DNF'd it, soft DNF. So I was like, maybe this story in particular isn't for me. Let me try out some other of these authors' things, because gorgeous. So I think I found like an author I want to try out more of, which is great. And it's a library book, so I'm not mad because I didn't waste money. So, I mean, I know I ranted about it, but I ranted about it because I really enjoyed the first 100 pages. So I think I was just kind of a, you know, because you kind of get bummed out when you're really enjoying it and you're in it. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? And then you're like, oh, I hate it now. So I decided to DNF it so I won't give it a bad review, because I think that story isn't for me, but her prose, her sentence, gorgeous. The world she created, gorgeous. I just think I've read too many mysteries not to be focused on like the dead body, you know? You know what I mean? Okay, so yes, I'm gonna check out more from that author. The other two, I don't think so. I don't think it's for me. I don't think their writing style jives with mine, and that's fine, because that's what libraries are for. Libraries are amazing. And I'm going to go now. I don't want to, but it's time to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.